Hi, so we're here at TCH Reading today. My name is Alex, I'm a Hangar ambassador, and today I'm going to take you through kind of a typical board session for me. Board climbing makes up a decent chunk of my training, and actually probably the majority of the climbing that I do as part of that. It's a super useful tool for kind of providing like a progressive overload to your climbing. So in the same way when you're strength training, you lift progressively heavier weights. For me, I do that in climbing through progressively harder board climbing. So it's really good for targeting your fingers, your core, big moves, and it also exposes you to a variety of settings. So you can set your own boulders, which can work either your strengths or your weaknesses, but you can also climb on other people's boulders and kind of be introduced to a whole new set of moves that you might get beyond the normal set boulders in the gym. So we're gonna have a board session today, so I'm nice and warm already. I've done quite a lot of climbing, still coming in fresh. I'm kind of at the end of my warm-up. But making sure that you're really warm before you get on the board is a really good way of preventing injury. So we're going to do some easy boulders to warm up and kind of build into it. But yeah, and then we're going to set some projects, I think. So should be fun. Cool. So cool things about these boards, they've got like this light up LED system. So every boulder that's ever been set is like accessible from in here. For me, I'm going to start off with a boulder called Easy Peasy, because that seems like a good place to start. So I'd say if you're not quite at the level where the board feels accessible, it's more of like an intermediate training tool, but I guess to build up for it, you'll want to focus on kind of more powerful, steeper boulders in order to kind of develop strength slowly. And then once you feel like you're kind of ready, you can either jump on some of the easier boulders that are already set or set some of your own moves and not necessarily worry about going all the way to the top or setting the boulders. Just kind of do individual moves and feel it out and get used to the kind of the steepness of the terrain and like how bad the holds are. So we're going to start on this 6A. That is hopefully within my ability, but big place to start. Definitely a little tricky, the 6A. Ooh. So one thing to note is on these boards we always use the resin feet. So there are two different types. There's the bigger grey ones and the smaller pink ones. Obviously, you can climb the same boulder with either foot option, but to begin with, I would start with the grey ones. I spend a lot of my time climbing on the bigger feet because I find it a bit more fun to jump around with bigger moves, but if I'm working on different stuff, then I'll go down to different feet. The smaller the foot is, obviously, the more focused on footwork there's going to be and kind of body tension, making sure you're really using them. And then if you're on the bigger feet, you can focus a bit more on your sort of upper body, and that's less of a concern. So. It's also a really great way of making boulders harder is to climb them with the big feet and then go down to the little ones. So, cool, next boulder. What we're looking at. Go a bit harder. 6B plus. Wingspan. Wingspan, that's never good. I've not got very long arms, so a boulder named Wingspan is going to be hard. Ah, it looks okay. That looks fun. These boards are really cool because they've just got big jugs on them. I feel like this is something that's only come around the last few years, is boards with bigger holds on it. It used to be like this really like top-end training tool where everything with these ratty little grifters everywhere. But now it's definitely a lot more accessible. Wingspan, this will be the wingspan move. My arms are long enough, nice. Sweet. So one thing you'll hear on the internet a lot is that you shouldn't use technique on a board. It should always be square on and you should never match. I disagree with that. I think you should climb as well as you possibly can because it's not just a strength training tool. It's also for training climbing technique. So you'll see me twist my hips in, drop my knees. I think it's all good climbing technique, and there's no point denying yourself here when it's a big chunk. Well, for me, it's a big chunk of my climbing time. I don't want to practice climbing badly for a big chunk of my climbing time. The cool thing about a board rather than a canvas board or fingerboard is that while it's strength training, it's also really great technique training. Like you're working top end climbing moves all the time. So keeping that practice as focused as possible is really important for me. Carry on, we're getting a bit harder now. That was 6B. Shall we venture into the 7s? Pinch and flick. I like the sound of that. Oh yeah, looks fun. Wanging around on pinches. So I like to really like mix up the styles through my session. So when I get to kind of my top end and I'm trying hard boulders, I'll start off focusing on like, maybe I'll do a boulder on little crimps, really focus on the fingers, and then maybe I'll start doing some big moves on pinches and then back into like undercuts or something. Almost like I like hit all of the major food groups of my climbing. And if there's something that's a weakness of mine, so say for example, right now I'm not very good at like big moves on like wide pinches, I spend a little bit more time focusing on that during my session. So the more time you spend on the board, the more you'll kind of get to know the boulders that are already there, and then you'll start to develop a library of things that you try often. So one of the big differences for me from climbing on set boulders or climbing outside is that I don't just climb a boulder once and tick it off and I'm done with it. I'll like work on something as a project, I'll do it, and then I'll kind of add it to my like session every time. So maybe I'll climb a boulder once, and then I'll come back to it and I'll climb it again the next session. And then next session, I'll try and do it, but a little bit quicker. I'll try not to fall off. And eventually it just becomes this training circuit of boulders you already know, but you can use it as either a build up into the harder projecting end of the session, or just to kind of develop those skills and continue to get stronger. We're gonna have a go on this pinch. Look at the start. So I'm gonna stick with the grey feet for now. I might move to the pinks later on. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. Oh, that's fun. Somebody's good old on this board. That's great. Of course, one of the really cool features about this board is because it's symmetrical and it's got the lights. You can flip it around. So if I click the mirror button, that should flick it to the other side. So now we have the exact same boulder, but all the right hands are now left hands. So symmetricalness is, I think, is super useful. So first off, it lets you like find differences between the sides. So if you climb a boulder on your left and it feels nice, and then you climb a boulder on your right and it feels really hard, there's some imbalance there that you need to work on in order to get it better. So yeah, I think it's really useful. Really, really good. Some people recommend having to climb both sides and to tick off a boulder. I'm slightly less of a purist than that, but I do like to flick it around sometimes. So if I go, let's do the right version. Oh, cool. That's a fun boulder. Definitely getting into the swing of it now, like into the harder end of the boulder. So building up into it progressively and working towards kind of projecty end of it, I think is where you get the most value from board climbing. Obviously you don't want to do that too much. There's only so many sessions a week you can really work at your limit. So I probably only do 1 or 2 sessions a week where I'm actually board climbing at my limit. But I might do like a mileage session sometimes where I'll come in and I'll climb as many boulders as I can kind of below my limit with a few minutes rest in between. So yeah, let's go a little bit harder. Let's see what's already on here. Project. I'll do a project. And maybe we'll try some of the, there's no 7B plus, this is 7B. 17. Undercut lover. I'm an undercut lover. Sounds good to me. Comes into here, crimp, into that. That looks like a hard move in the middle. Oh yeah, I think we're getting into it now. I'm starting to feel a little bit warmed up. So like normally at the start of the session, I won't take quite as much rest. I'll kind of work up through stuff and maybe start to get a little bit tired. As I approach the projecting end of my session, I really increase the rest time. So I'll take like probably at least 3 minutes between every boulder, maybe up to like 5 or 6 if I'm really working at my limit. I've done a lot of moves. One useful rule of thumb when you're looking at rest times is 1 minute for every move that you've done. So if you've done if you've done 3 moves of a boulder, then rest 3 minutes before your next attempt. It's a nice way of like mandating that. And then quite often I'll have a little stopwatch behind that I'll just start going so I don't get excited and run up and do the boulder. It's very often I won't take enough rest and I'll start getting tired, and I've got to kind of warn against that because it's not the best for training. That was cool. Block. Oh, that was good. I like that one. Yeah, nice. All right. So I feel pretty warm now, and kind of now I think I'm probably going to work on some of my weaknesses. I'm actually probably going to set a project because I find that really worthwhile, especially on a new board. And I think today I want to work on something that's a little bit wider, kind of big moves between good holds. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that. So when I'm setting something, I like to work from like an idea like that. So this one is going to be long moves between big holds. It might be that you want to work on small holds. So you'll pick some of the small holds and then start to work between them. So I think I want to have some positions where I'm really wide. So I'm going to look for them first. So here to here. Wow, that is a very long way. I think that could be cool though, because both of the holds are quite good, but they're a long way apart. So maybe if I start with a good left hand, I can generate into that final position. And then I want to do another big move. I wonder if I come from wide and then hit that pinch up there. Let's see how that works. So a lot of this is just trial and error and just trying the boulders and see what you think. So I'm going to get in there. What's the worst that can happen? Let's try these 2 pinches. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, so that's a cool move. I might do this one on the harder feet to kind of dial it in a little bit. So I'm gonna work on the assumption that move works and then try it from there and see if I can find a cool move that does another big span. For me, like working at my limit of my reach is always quite difficult, so I try and do as much of it as I can. Let's go for pink feet. Oh yeah, okay. That move's gonna be cool. And then we'll do one more big move. I reckon if we just go from there to the top, job's a good in. 3 move boulder. Cool. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a rest now. Maybe like a few minutes just to kind of recover. I'll take my shoes off for a minute and then I'll have a go trying that from the ground. So we'll see what you do. Cool, so I've had a quick rest and I've put this boulder into the system. So now I'm gonna have a quick go, try and figure it out. So when I'm projecting a boulder, I will first off start from the ground and see how I get on. But then when I find moves that I fall off or I find difficult, I'll come back and work those moves individually. So most of this session is not focused on going from the bottom to the top every single time. It's about working individual moves and trying to like build up like the skill on them and kind of learn the positions and stuff. So we go. I think this first move's hard. Okay, cool. So I think that move is going to work. It's very wide, and I think it's going to be about like really hitting a dead point. But for now, I think I'm going to pull on in this position. Oh no. Okay. Cool. That move's perfect. This is perfect so far. Like right at the limit. Trying hard. I'm going to climb into that position and just try the last move, just to kind of give myself a general like overview of the boulder. And then we'll come back and kind of put a bit more time into each individual move. Cool. Fortunately, there's some nice big jugs that I can climb on to get into the position. I think my foot was swinging over here. Oh my god, this moves miles. Okay, that is a very long way. Sweet, I think it goes. It might be that my right hand has to come off and I'm going to take a one-arm swing off the top. Cool, so my confidence is very high for the first 2 moves. I definitely think I can get to the top move. But the last move is definitely the one that is the most unknown for me right now. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of minutes to rest, kind of recover, get my breath back. I'm going to probably set a timer on my phone for around 3 minutes. And then I'm just going to try that top move and make sure I dial that in before I get on from the start. So it's hit it so far fulfilling the brief perfectly. It's nice big moves. I'm at the extent of my reach and I'm really having to focus on like squeezing out here. So it's good training block so far. So should be fun. Of course, I've had a little rest. I'm going to try it off the grey feet first, that last move. Try and get a feel for it and see if I can get it off there, and then kind of build up into the pink feet. So it's feeling like a long way so far, but we'll keep trying. Okay. All right, so I got the distance. Woo, that's a long way. Maybe I could add a small intermediate to like set myself up. So I guess trying to keep the same style where I'm still keeping nice and wide, but maybe thinking about adding another hold in so it is like a nice level. This is kind of the nice thing. Obviously, if you're climbing on a set boulder, you can't just add another hold if it feels too hard. But for me, I can maybe add like this other pinch as an intermediate. I'll try that. I'll see how the pinch feels. But basically trying to find something that's just at the edge of my limit and not way too far. Because if I get to that move and just I'm not even close to it, then I'm not really getting a really strong training value from it. So I could start off maybe a session or two trying to do it with an intermediate, and then maybe eventually move away from it. So let's try with that. Try with that intermediate on the grey feet. Oh my god. It's so far. Where do you still think it goes? Cool. I mean, that's what climbing's about, isn't it? Falling off, trying again. And it might be that it's just too hard for now. Like, it's fine to have a project. That's it. The other really nice thing about board is it's not going to change. This won't change for the next few years. It means that you can have projects from a couple of years ago that originally felt ridiculous. You can like learn, do some training, increase your skills and get better at climbing, and then come back and all of a sudden that thing that was impossible becomes like part of your daily routine. So I think that's one of the really cool things about learning anything, but on a board in particular, it becomes this like test of skill, more like outdoor climbing. Obviously the boulders inside change every week, so it's hard to know, like track your progress. Whereas on a board, you can really like, yeah, follow along. From here. Woo! So that was off an even better left hand, but I'm still like struggling to maintain tension at that final bit of distance. Ah, cool move. I might have to shuffle all the way to the left side of this hole to give myself just enough distance. And then even then, I'm probably gonna have to take a one-arm ride. It's getting a bit scary. Oh, come on, I think I can do it. That's a fun move. Oh. It's quite scary. I think so. I've got two choices. Either I can try and keep the right hand, but I've tried to do it the last 2 times, or I can just commit and take the one-arm swing. It's quite scary. Woo. I'll get a brush actually. So one thing that's really important about the board is that you should always brush the holds that you're using. Obviously, because they're not getting reset and washed every few weeks, if people aren't taking care of it, then the chalk is really going to build up on these holds, and it's going to make it not very pleasant to climb on. So good rule of thumb, just keep a brush with you, and then in between every couple of goes, make sure you keep it brushed. Not only will it help you climb harder, but it will keep the problems nice for everyone else. So brush thy board. Okay. So I'm going to try that move with a good left hand, and I'm a bit scared, but I'm going to commit to taking the one-arm swing on that hold. Okay. So it does go. It's really scary. That's cool. Right, okay, so that was with a really good left hand. I'm happy with it on grey feet for now, actually. I think it still kind of fulfills the swinging really hard. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and do that move off the original left hand that I was gonna add, the intermediate. Slightly less good than that one that I just did it off. On the grey feet, see if I can do that move on its own. Then we'll go in, we'll edit the boulder, and then I'll try it from the ground, see if I can make some good progress today. Oh, that was quite scary. Okay. Yes, okay. Right, that move works. Cool, I think we've got a boulder. We've made good progress on all the moves. So I'm actually gonna have a send burn. This shouldn't be a really big part of the session. Like for me, it's more about like projecting the moves and working right at my limit. But now I feel like I can send that boulder. It'll be a really nice mark of progress if I can get it all done. No real pressure on if it happens, but it's good practice for trying to get to the top. So just have a go. Yes. Nice. Wait, that was actually mega. Okay, I'm pretty psyched to have got that done. So that was off the grey feet with that added hold in. So I'm really happy with that for today. I think I'm going to move on because I'm starting to feel tired in that like wide position. But if I came back in next time, I could either tweak the boulder a little bit to make it harder. What I would probably do is try and do it on the pink feet and then just trying to progressively make it a little bit harder every time. So, but I'm really happy with that. That was a good send. Good training. Always nice to actually get to the top of something. So I think now we're going to try a couple of other projects that are already on the board. So it's really great to set your own stuff, but what I find is that I set kind of within my own abilities and in my own style a lot. So by climbing other people's hard boulders, for me, it gives me a really good perspective on different moves. So stuff that I would be like, no, there's no way that would ever happen, or that's a little bit like outside of my like normal style. That's when you start to like build in those moves. And actually that's much more valuable in training than climbing on your own stuff all the time. So I started off with kind of big wide project on some good bet holds. I think now I'd like to like put a little focus on the fingers and climb something with a little bit smaller holds. And I found this nice project that starts off with big move to a crimp. Looks like it comes up through another crimp and then yeah, a few more moves with undercuts and stuff. So it's going to be like quite finger focused, which is good. I generally try and not keep my whole session on a board finger focused. It's really easy to just spend your whole time on little holds that are really hard for you. But I think you'll be able to have longer sessions if you vary the styles a little bit. And you're also much less likely to get injured if you don't spend the whole time in like aggressive crimps. So for me, I like feel warmed up. I feel like particularly good now. I'm not tired at all yet. I will stop as soon as I start feeling tired on any of these moves, or maybe move on to a different boulder. And again, just trying to make sure you don't spend too long working one individual boulder. For me, I probably spend maybe 15 minutes at a time on each boulder, and then I'll cycle to the next one with a different style. The time you're going to get injured is when you've been trying the same move over and over again, you're fatigued, and then you just try hard that one time. And so don't do that. But this first move looks nailed. So let's try it again on the grey feet first. Let's sit cold. Cool. So that was actually a really good level for me. Definitely had to try really hard. What I'll do now I've done it on that side and it felt pretty good, I'm actually going to flip it to the other side. Because that first move, I hit that hold really extended, and sometimes my right arm is a little bit weaker, so it'd be really interesting to see how the comparison is on that move. And I might even try it on pink feet this time as well. kind of build in that difficulty a little bit more. Oh, it was good though, it was a good level. Yeah, I'll try out for the pink feet. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Oh. Nice, that was perfect for me on the pink feet. Really felt like everything was really maximal. I was trying pretty hard. That was definitely a really good block. So because I felt like that really maxed out my fingers, I wouldn't want to do it very many more times in a session. But I would definitely add that to my session rotation, especially as I'm coming towards the end and feeling really warmed up. So it's a really good one. Great, so it's been a really good session so far. So I've done probably 2 boulders at my limit. What I would probably try and do is maybe 3 or 4 more, depending on how I'm feeling, but making sure that I stop before I start to feel really tired. Always finish strong on a board. It will give you better training benefit and it will make you less likely to get injured. So yeah, hopefully I've given you some principles of training on a board. Every board is unique and they're all a little bit different. It's good to find the one that is good for you. If you're in the Reading area, these are some really good boulders to come and try. Have a go. If you do try them, let me know. But hopefully you'll find a board near you that kind of gives you the same sort of process, and you can add it to your training. Try and mix it in with a load of other stuff, but it's a really great tool that I really like. If you've enjoyed this, then please give the video a like and follow the Climbing Hangar YouTube channel, and we'll do some more videos like this. Yeah, thanks very much.